Hey everybody, Foley here. Welcome to the weekly news recap for the 10th to the 16th of November 2025. So this week, Valve dropped some pretty big news that they have some new hardware on the way. So this video, they talk a little bit about the Steam Deck at the time and how good it's been, and lots of people are playing it, but then there's three new things that they're adding. So the first one up is that there's going to be a new controller. From the looks of it, this looks like they took the Steam Deck, got rid of the screen, and then just mashed the two controller parts together. This kind of looks like what they're going for. Some interesting changes, though. The trackpads are like cantered a little bit so that they fit your thumb a little bit better. The thumbsticks and the back buttons are capacitive, so they know if you're touching them or not. There's gyro controls, which I think were in the Steam Deck as well. They're talking about here about like magnetic effect on the controllers, which is a little bit better than Hall effect. So there should be less stick drift basically with the Steam controller. And I think that's kind of the gist of it. There's some weirdness about its wirelessness and its wireless charging or whatever. Like it has some kind of puck attachment. You can see it there in front of him, in front of his keyboard. I'm not sure if that oh no, it does. Okay, so I guess I didn't see that part of the video. It does seem like it acts as the wireless radio for the controller. So as opposed to it connecting to Bluetooth specifically, it looks like it's connecting to this puck. Now I think it does have a Bluetooth capabilities. You can see it doesn't have a puck connected there to the Steam Deck, so it can still connect through Bluetooth. But there is this dedicated dongle that also acts as a charger. Anyway, up after that is probably the more interesting announcement. It's the new Steam machine. How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man? So we're trying Steam boxes again. Only this time Valve are gonna take a lot more ownership of its specs and who's building it and so on. Previous Steam boxes were more of like a specification thing that they farmed out to places like Alienware. I think Asus had one as well and stuff like that. And it never really got anywhere because Linux gaming wasn't really great in 2015 or so. Just not a lot of things supported it. But now we have the Proton layer that sits on Steam Deck and sits on a lot of other Linux machines that basically converts window. I'm going to do this like very high level, but it kind of converts what's happening on a Windows machine typically and converts it so that it works on Linux. And it doesn't always work, but it works for the most part. And that's kind of what they're going for now with the Steam machine. Power-wise, it's about a PS5-ish. Slightly cheaper components. Looks like it's going for mostly laptop-style components. Hang on. You're going too fast. Go back here. Laptop style components, so it should be like replaceable parts. The funny thing I have seen from the breakdown of the Steam machine, it's mostly a heatsink. Like most of that cube is a heatsink and a fan, and then there is like a GPU in there as well. But like it's pretty funny that it's like the shape of it and like the vast majority of what's inside the box is a heatsink. But yeah, we don't really know power-wise. We're going too fast. I'm still talking about this. Give me a minute. Power-wise, it does look like it's about the power of a PS5. So like better than a Steam Deck. I think the video says it's like 6 Steam Decks or something like that. But this acting as like a gateway bridge, if you like, for the PC in the living room, like a console experience, but it's also a PC. I think there's a couple of screens in this video where they show it acting as a PC replacement. So not just as a console, like if you wanted to, you could, like, in the same way like a Steam Deck can also be used technically as a PC. You can see it here now, like it can technically be used as a PC. How powerful it is. You'll have to check out the specs yourself to see what you think. It seems pretty good. IMO, it's not like super high end or anything, but I don't think that's what Valve are going for. I think they really are going for like an entry level kind of thing. Anyway, we might as well talk about this now. So the Steam Frame is Valve's new VR headset. So they have confirmed that the Index is no longer in production. That's their previous VR headset. Looking at the specs of this, it's basically a MetaQuest 3. pretty much. There's a couple of things that are a little bit different. They have kind of balanced it a little bit better. So the battery's on the back of your head instead of just everything in the headset. They've put the battery at the back, so it shouldn't be as uncomfortable. It shouldn't hurt your neck strain over a while. The controllers are interesting in that, again, it does look like they've just split a controller in half, which is a little bit different. Like the PSVR 2 controllers aren't like this. They don't have 4 face buttons and a D-pad. They have like the face button split on their controllers. So that's kind of interesting. Interesting change. It is an LCD screen, so you're not going to get great contrast. PSVR 2 is a little bit better for that. And of course, our high-end headsets have that going for them. The Meta Quest also has an LCD screen, which also has contrast issues. Foveated rendering, which is PSVR 2 thing that basically says the thing you're looking at is going to get most of the resolution, and the stuff you're not really looking at isn't going to get a high resolution. Another thing they're keen to point out here is that it is both a streaming and a dedicated headset, so you can play games dedicated on the SD card and just play them on the headset without having to have a PC nearby. But if you want a slightly better experience, there is a streaming dongle that comes with it. So similar enough to the controller, there's like a dongle that you can plug into the PC or any machine that's running Steam, apparently is the way they're talking about it. And they'll stream the game over a dedicated connection. So it won't have to necessarily go through your home Wi-Fi network, which could have a bit of lag on it. On the other hand, if your PC isn't in the same room that you normally would play VR stuff in, yeah, there could still be some lag there. So that, yeah, definitely is going to need a bit of a play test. But again, if this is just let's get people into the environment, let's get people into the ecosystem for VR, keep it cheap. I somehow doubt they're going to get under the Meta Quest price, because that's pretty aggressive pricing. But if they can get it under like the PSVR 2, I think they'll be doing pretty well. There was a breakdown of the headset itself, and it looks like it comes in like a couple of different parts. Obviously, there's the head strap and the battery bit, but the front component seems to be broken up into like the computation unit, if you like, the thing that's doing all the work, and that has the lenses and what have you. And then there's another unit that's mostly just for sitting on your face, and itself also has, I think, also has some lenses in it or something like that. But what's more interesting is that because it appears to be kind of modular, there's a potential down the line that maybe we'll see that swapped out for a better version or more powerful version or something like that, or for third-party units to make their own computation unit, and they won't have to make like the whole thing. They can just make something that fits the Steam frame, which is, I think, also potentially why they're calling it the Steam frame, in that like the main parts, if you think the parts that are actually sitting on your face, and the computation unit is a separate thing that can be swapped in and out. Maybe that might be a thing. I don't know if that's true. Obviously, we don't know about these components yet. We won't know until some stage in 2026. But these are some pretty cool hardware specs. I haven't gone into the whole thing. Digital Foundry did a really good breakdown video if you want to check that out yourselves. That's where I'm getting most of my information from. And I think they did a pretty good job giving like the pros and cons of what this will be. So these aren't high end, except maybe the controller. Controller is actually pretty good. But the other two, again, the Steam Machine, kind of a PS5, maybe Xbox Series, but with like not as good components, cheaper components. So how long it'll last and that kind of thing. I mean, if you take care of it, it'll last a long time. But no, who knows? The controller seems like they've put a lot of thought into it. The Steam frame, the modularization of it is really interesting. And the Meta Quest is like a very popular headset, and a lot of VR games are almost tailored to it because of how popular it is. So there'll be a lot of games you'll be able to play on it, basically. And then with the streaming ability, if you have a PC nearby or a Steam machine nearby in your living room, which is kind of the expected thing that will be happening here, you might be in pretty good shape to get a pretty decent VR experience out of that. And if third parties are able to get involved, you might be able to get a more powerful processing unit on your VR headset and what have you, or a more powerful Steam machine down the line if the specs are made out pretty well. I did think Valve are missing a trick. So the front plate of the Steam machine is replaceable. It's entirely just a facade. It's not doing anything important. And you see like a couple of times in the video, they do replace it with some other things. And in the interview in Digital Foundry, they have like an e-ink display. Highly unlikely they're going to ship that one. I think that one's just more for fun. But where's the companion cube? You know, where's the companion cube from Portal? This was so easy. Why don't you have that? That seems like a no-brainer, honestly. If they're not going to do it, there's going to be a third party that's going to do it. Like, it's too obvious. And I'm sure there'll be a third party that'll make it a GameCube as well. And then Nintendo will sue them. Anyway, that's the Steam machine. We don't really have any information on when. It's just next year. So coming in 2026. I think it's meant to be the first half of 2026. But I don't think we know for definite just yet. Verification stuff, they're going to expand verification. So if you already own a Steam Deck, you might already know about the verification thing. But if you're not familiar with it, on the Steam Deck itself, if you go to the Steam library or your Steam library or the Steam store or anything like that, it will tell you if the game is compatible and what level it is compatible at. So if you have a green tick like you have it there, there's no problems. It runs fine. You might have like a yellow exclamation mark, which is it runs okay, but there might be some problems. Then you'll have a question mark, which is we don't know. We haven't checked it ourselves. Your mileage may vary. And then I think there's just an outright just no, it doesn't work. But they're going to expand that for like, is it compatible with the Steam machine? Is it compatible with the Steam frame? And so on and so forth. So, you know, they're definitely pushing their way in to the console market. Sony might be a bit scared. I doubt it, but they might be a little bit scared. Xbox this potentially might be the end of them. I don't know. It's probably far too early to tell, but, you know, it's certainly another contender. But yeah, remember, Valve did try this before and it did not end well, so we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of Sony, Sony did have a state of play this week. It was not particularly interesting, to be honest. So yeah, a couple of things mentioned though. So Entropy Effect X is a BlazBlue thing, or BlazBlue. It's going to be an action roguelike spin-off thing, because I guess they're not making fighting games anymore, or they're taking a break from fighting games. I don't know. Early next year, 12th of February. Some more Broken Lore stuff. Not really of interest to me, but there's a release date for like the social media one, which is Unfollow, early next year, January. And then Broken Lore Ascend is more of a Tokyo-based thing, even though that looks like the Eiffel Tower. It's not the Eiffel Tower, it's the Tokyo Tower. Anyway, there's some shenanigans happening up there. Coffee Talk Tokyo. Probably should mention this state of play was very much a Japan-focused one, so it's why a lot of them have some Japan focus on them. So Coffee Talk Tokyo, following on from Coffee Talk 1 and 2. This one is going to be set in Japan, March of next year. So while the Coffee Talk thing is kind of like a cozy game where you're just chatting to like mythological beings and how they go about their daily modern life. Coffee Talk 1 and 2, you're talking to like orcs and elves and succubi and this kind of thing, more Western focused ones. Whereas Coffee Talk Tokyo, as you might imagine, is a more Japanese focus where you're talking to yokai. Damon and Baby is actually probably one of the only interesting things to me that they showed off. So Damon and Baby seems like it is a what do they call it? Like Mandalorian and Grogu kind of thing, or Wolf and Cub, you know, that kind of thing. It's like gruff fighter guy and baby team up, twin stick shooter style thing. It looks like it's a little bit of fun. Obviously, we're only seeing Japanese text here, whether it'll be localized or what have you. I imagine it will be. And I don't know if this is based off like another property, if it's based off a manga or an anime, I don't know. But it looks like it's a little bit of fun. How the gameplay plays out, I guess we'll see. It is a fairly by the numbers twin stick shooter for the most part, and it is probably getting by a lot more on its presentation and its premise more than anything else. But I guess we'll see when the game itself comes out. I'm not sure if it had a release date. It did not. It's just early next year. Digimon Story Time Stranger, and I didn't get this, but like when you just write it out like this, it's Digimon Story Time. When it's written like that, I don't quite see it. When you write it out all in one go, it's just story time. Anyway, DLC introducing new Digimon, which I don't know how people are gonna take that. I don't know, fans and so on. Brand new Digimon added. Sorry, did that have a release date? It's about to expand it. Arrives in winter, this winter. So pretty soon, I would think. The Dragon Quest VII remake, remaster. Well, it's remake, really. It's called Reimagined, but it's a remake. So this trailer is mostly just showing off, like the graphical changes, like the fidelity changes and so on. But also they're adding a new scenario where you meet up with adult Kiefer Sutherland. And there's like a new scenario, a new episode kind of thing. When exactly it takes place in the story, I don't think they mentioned in this. But yeah, you find like a grown-up one. I've never played Dragon Quest VII, so I don't know what the significance of that is, but it's a new thing that wasn't in the original game, so if you were a fan of it, maybe this is like a little bit more extra content. Early February of next year, and Dynasty Warriors Origins Visions of Four Heroes is just DLC for Dynasty Warriors Origins. Who the four heroes are? Well, Lu Bu is in there, I know that. Who the other three are, I don't know. This is the yellow turban guy. I forget his name. I don't know who these two are. Cow? Maybe? I don't know. I would have assumed they were in the original game, so that's kind of weird. Or maybe it's that they're playable now? I don't know. Anyway, January next year. This was probably the bigger thing for other people. Is the Elden Ring Night Rain DLC, the Forsaken Hollows, which is going to add a new map, 2 new characters to play as, and 2 new bosses. I'll be honest, I haven't really been following Night Rain because it's a multiplayer thing that I don't care about. And any gameplay I've seen of it, it's just people rushing through the game, and I don't like that. I know like the game is all about like go as fast as possible to grab all of the shit before you have to fight the boss at the end of it, and I get that, but also can you just fucking slow down? Like the way I played Elden Ring was slow. It was very slow. Certainly not as fast as I'm seeing players just rip through the map. Now, I get that this is like hour 200 or something for some of them, and they're well familiar with what they're doing and what have you. I just don't find it particularly interesting. Anyway, 2 new bosses, 2 new character types, and a new area. And Artorias actually isn't as well. I don't think we saw him in the trailer. But yeah, Artorias is maybe one of the new bosses, maybe a sub-boss, something like that. First DLC for Night Rain, 4th of December, so pretty soon. 2 new playable Nightfarers, 2 formidable bosses. Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake has its release date now. It's the 12th of March. They were just kind of showing off a little bit more of it. Again, this is a remake of a game that already existed. It's one of the better Fatal Frame games. It's about 2 twin sisters who are reliving a sacrifice ritual that happened decades ago, centuries ago even, and they're being pulled back into it because the ritual was never finished. And ghosts and shenanigans and the camera obscura and all that. It's a pretty good time. And it was somewhat in need of a remake. Fate Trigger is some gacha nonsense, I think. Early access in Q1 of next year. Next generation tactical hero shooter. Okay. Gran Turismo 7 Power Pack, just in more DLC, 4th of December, same as Night Rain. It adds like the Le Mans 24-hour thing. I think that's it. I don't think it does anything else. Incombini has been shown off a couple of like PC showcases, and this is mostly just confirming it's coming to PlayStation as well. If you're not familiar, it's like a cozy game where you manage a convenience store in Japan. It's like everyday life, and you've got like recurring customers, and you get to know them and like relationships and that kind of thing. April of next year. Kiran Makazim, which I imagine will have its name changed before it leaves Japan, if it's ever localized. Disgaea games are a little bit will they, won't they, when it comes to localization. Anyway, end of January is when it'll be released in Japan. It is a Disgaea game, but it's more of a spin-off. It's like an action RPG kind of thing. You turn defeated enemies into your familiars and use them to attack, so it's a little bit like Pokemon. Command or transform them into powerful weapons to reclaim your stolen pudding. Disgaea does not take itself seriously. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls has a closed beta coming up soon. Potentially you've already gotten the email about it. So 5th of December, so you still have a bit of time to sign up for it. This beta will be adding Spider-Man and Ghost Rider. So it's like 8 characters, I think, in total now. I imagine there'll be more. Monster Hunter's title update, 16th December, adds this big fucking guy. Motion Wreck. I'm a little annoyed there's no trailer for Motion Wreck, because that was actually kind of interesting. So Motion Wreck is launching next spring. It's a record and replay puzzle action game. So you can a little bit of like Braid. It's like fast forwarding and then rewinding stuff, but your progress when you're fast forwarded is kept and something like that. It's kind of that gimmick of like replaying your actions, but then stopping at a pivotal moment to do something else, this kind of thing. It looked interesting anyway. Nevergrave, The Witch and the Curse. This is one of the first games published by Pocket Pair, the Palworld people. It looks like a pretty standard Metroidvania with a little bit of Mario Odyssey to it. So the hat, it looks like, is actually the main character. And while you will be playing as this blonde witch girl for most of the game, it does seem like at some points the hat can jump onto other enemies and you take over them for a little bit. I'm going to skip ahead to when they do that. There's a little bit of multiplayer in there. As you can see, there's different colored hats and so on. It denotes the different people playing. If I missed the part where she takes over the T-Rex looking thing, oh no, there it is. Okay, it's not a T-Rex, whatever. But yeah, there's a little bit of like Mario Odyssey there, where you're the hat for a little bit, and you can like summon or not summon, possess other enemies. It's not clear how you get back to playing the witch. Do you just reform as the witch at some point, or do you have to go back and get find the body again at some point? I don't know. But yeah, like it's an interesting gimmick. We'll see. March of next year. No Sleep for Kaname Date. AI The Somnium Files just has its release date. There's nothing particularly new from this trailer. 26th of February. Octopath Traveler 0. There's a demo available for it right now. It's about the first 3 hours or so of the game. What's interesting here is that it's a create your character thing. And anyone who's played the original Octopath Traveler or Octopath Traveler 2 knows that there already are characters. That's what the Octo part means, is 8 characters. You're following their story. And I think with Octopath Traveler 0, it's more the case that you're following 8 villains who are like trying to stop you from like rebuilding a village or something like that, or getting in your way or something like that. So it's a bespoke character, but the Octo part is more referring to the 8 villains you'll encounter. I think, don't know. I never played like the mobile game, so I don't really know. Once Upon a Katamari is getting some DLC, which is mostly just clothes and music. It's not like new levels or anything. Similarly, Pac-Man World is getting the Sonic the Hedgehog collaboration. So this is the other side of the Pac-Man Sonic collaboration. The first side was Pac-Man appearing in the Sonic Kart, whatever it's called, game. So this is the other side of it, where Sonic appears in the Pac-Man game. This one. And then speaking of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, it's also getting its own DLC with Knights, Tangle, and Whisper are all going to be joining it. And there's also going to be a SpongeBob later on. Actually, pretty soon, 19th of November. More DLC for a game I've never heard of. Super Robot Wars Y is getting some DLC. It's adding some mecha from like some other mangas and anime, like Big O, I know. And I don't think is normally part of whatever Super Robot Wars is, so I think there's some kind of cross promotion there. Kamen Rider is in there as well. Tokyo Extreme Racer is coming back to PlayStation after 20 years. Didn't know it had left. 25th of February. Extreme Racer has a lot more to do with you, like, yes, driving really well, but also like driving dangerously to put off the other racers. Wandering Sword is like a pixel art RPG. 28th of May, and kind of leans pretty heavily into like wuxia type stuff. And then there's a monitor that has a charger attached to it. It's like, Sony, what are you doing? Fucking Valve comes out with all of this shit, and Sony has a monitor with a controller or a controller charger attached to it. Okay. All right. Outside of those two, some other update news. So Power Lives has been delayed to 2026. You might notice as the other Sims contenders, been a couple of few of them. There's been a few of them that have come out and not performed particularly well, and some of them were delayed and then eventually cancelled and what have you. Power Lives is one that hasn't come out yet, and we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. So it's delaying their live sim following playtests. It was meant to be in early access December this year. It's being pushed out to May of next year. So this is from developer and game designer Alex Massey. I started this project wanting it to be a fresh and indie take on the dollhouse life simulation genre. It should not be tackled by many game developers. I attributed this partly to the fact that a project like Power Lives is a colossal task. Life sims are really 3 games in one: an advanced and flexible build mode, a greatly customizable character creator, and a complex life simulation mode. I mean, okay, if you want to do it that way, a lot of games are several games in one, but alright. Anyway, they're pushing it back. This would ensure Power Lives offers great experience when it launches, making players come back for every exciting free update and expansion that we'll put out afterwards. Isn't the whole point of early access supposed to be getting feedback? I know it's kind of not that anymore. It's more like a soft demo launch, if anything, but the original purpose of early access was to do all of this stuff. Anyway, it's been pushed out. Anyway, coming back to what is Sony doing. So we have Horizon Steel Frontiers, which is Monster Hunter, but Horizon. And also not by Guerrilla. It's being made in partnership with Guerrilla, but it's being developed by NCSoft. It's being billed as an MMO combat thing with like in the Horizon universe. It's just Monster Hunter, really. Like, that's all it is. It's just Monster Hunter. Kind of the more interesting side of it, I guess, is that it's not on PlayStation. So again, Sony, what are you doing? This is going to be PC only for now. And there's been some other news that there's generative AI was used extensively in development, which is what NCSoft said. Probably. I mean, can I like pick out parts of it on the screen or anything? No, but I wouldn't exactly be surprised about it, considering Horizon has a bit of a mess of, I don't know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Transformers designs for the films and how they were like heavily over designed. And a lot of their animations just didn't make sense. And it was just like CG porn nonsense. And I kind of do get that vibe from a lot of the Horizon animals. But there's some particular gall here for Sony to be like, Tencent are copying us, you know, and I'm trying to sue them because of it. And then they come out and just fucking make Monster Hunter. And steal the Breath of the Wild stamina wheel, and so on. There's a lot of you're copying other games here, Sony, NCSoft, whoever. Anyway, I don't think there's a release date for this. I think it's like next year. But yeah, curious that it's not on PlayStation. which is a weird choice. Bold strategy, Cotton, and all that. Yeah, no release date. Sticking with Sony and sticking with the what are you doing? Ratchet and Clank, a new Ratchet and Clank game. Hooray! I've been dying to play it now. Oh, wait a minute. That's a mobile screen. Hang on, this looks a lot like some kind of arena multiplayer bullshit thing. And it is, because that's what it is. How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man? Didn't work for Crash Bandicoot. It's probably not going to work for Sonic. I really don't think it's going to work for Ratchet either. And also, how does this fit into the game? I mean, I know they're not really going to be trying to fit into the game's story or the game's lore or anything like that, but isn't Ratchet meant to be like the last of his kind? Isn't he meant to be like the only Lombax? Or like nobody knows what happened to any of the other Lombaxes? And now there's at least 4 of them. Oh, I don't think I've been in any of the games, so it's what's going on? There's some element here that it might be interesting in that, like, the Ratchet games do have some pretty cool guns. I say cool, they're like fun, like kind of silly guns. But also, this is a mobile game. Like, I don't think it's even coming to PC, and it's also, again, not coming to PlayStation. So there's a real, like, monkey's paw here of, oh, I really want to play a new Ratchet and Clank game, and it's like, here you go, eat up. Anyway, Sony, what are you doing? It's like as soon as there was no competition for Microsoft anymore, they just went, hey, let's just fuck about a bit. All right. Well, anyway, here's some games that are actually coming to PlayStation. So the PlayStation Plus catalog update for November. So this is for the extra and premium tiers. So first up, a game that was already on it, Red Dead Redemption. Cool. So Red Dead Redemption is getting current gen patches, as far as I'm aware. It's getting like a PS5, Xbox Series X patch. It's getting it before Red Dead Redemption 2, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, this was already in the catalog, so this isn't as good a get as it sounds. And then another one that was already in the catalog and has been many times, Grand Theft Auto 5. Great. Pacific Drive, that's actually a good game. You played a little bit of it on the channel. It's a car survival game in some ways. I know it doesn't sound great, but you go out into this exclusion zone, which is like a weird anomaly thing happening. Your car is your only means of safety, but it's constantly under assault from the zone, and you're having to replace the doors and like reinforce things and get new tires and stuff like that, and you're scavenging for supplies out in the zone, and there's all sorts of things that can kill you, and the general gist of the story is to try to get to the center of the zone without dying. And I liked it. I thought it was good. Still Wakes the Deep, we did a full playthrough of it on the channel. It's from the Chinese Room. You are playing an electrician in the 80s, I think, 70s or 80s, something like that, out in the North Atlantic Ocean, which is off Scotland, and some shenanigans happen, and the oil rig starts to like sink into the ocean, and you're like, hey, that's not good. Maybe I should get out of here. And is that, where am I gonna go? I'm in the middle of the fucking ocean. Yeah, that's a good time. Darude Sandstorm, Insurgency Sandstorm, is like a military tactics shooter that's a little bit, considering what's the fuck is going on with Call of Duty these days, it's probably the more accurate one out of all of them. Thank goodness You're Here is a real, like, it's a short game, but it's a lot of fun. It's very dumb, and it's very much British comedy, to the point that maybe nobody else will get us. If you understand British comedy, it's very, very funny. The Talos Principle 2, you're a robot and you solve puzzles, and there's some kind of philosophy going on in the background, but you don't care because you're too busy solving puzzle. That's the Talos Principle. Monster Jam Showdown, never heard of it. I assume it's a racing game. Collect countless different liveries. Oh good, palette swaps. Love it. Yeah, I guess like it's a racing game, but it's also a destruction derby kind of thing. MotoGP, it's a racing game, but you're a motorbike, or you're on a motorbike, or you are a motorbike. You are a motorbike, sure. The one game going to PlayStation Plus Premium. Remember, Premium is the highest paid tier, and it gets probably the least amount of content. But anyway, on top of all of those games, Tomb Raider Anniversary, it's a PS2 game. It was the second in the PS2 trilogy. It was Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider Legend, I think it was the first one. Tomb Raider Anniversary, and then Tomb Raider Underworld. Anniversary is sort of a remake, reboot, reimagining, I think is the way they put it, of the very first Lara Croft game. And honestly, I thought it was pretty good. It's probably it's probably the better one of the three PS2 games. Over on the Epic Games Store, free games this week. First up is Scourgebringer, which is a roguelike Metroidvania type thing. Or it's not a Metroidvania, sorry. It's a roguelike platformer combat type thing. I think this trailer is all animation. I don't think there's any actual gameplay in it. No. Anyway, it's like this. So think like the older Metroid games in some ways, but it's melee combat focused. It's good. It's a good game. Then we have Songs of Silence, which is a game I'm not familiar with, but it sounds like it's an RTS. Lead armies, rebuild fallen kingdoms, rise to greatness in Songs of Silence. Yeah, so I think it's like a mini skirmish type thing. Yeah. Okay. Not my kind. Not really my kind of game, but you know, the art is really nice though. And the last game is 0 Hour. 0 Hour is a tactical FPS, online team-based gameplay, takes place in a variety of... I think it's SWAT. Or Ready or Not, or whatever, but... like... maybe not as good. Maybe not as good as Ready or Not. Or maybe Rainbow Six, before it became a weird PvP game. Anyway, those are some of the games you can play soon. What if you wanted to play something right now? We have Possessors... from Heart Machine. Heart Machine has gone through a lot of layoffs recently, and almost certainly some of the devs who worked on this game were also laid off, so to be honest, I'm somewhat reluctant to pick up the game, but also the devs who are still there, you do want to like keep supporting them, so it's... I don't know how to think about it. Anyway, in Possessors, you play this, obviously, kid who's lost his legs, and there's this devil who's about to bleed out and die. You form a pact, you get, like, superpowers, and at the same time, you have a devil in your head. So, like, you know, swings and roundabouts, I suppose. But otherwise, it's a side-scrolling Metroidvania type thing. Really nice art. The demo was really good, if a little tough. I found it a bit difficult anyway. But I really like the art, and I do kind of want to support the developer, but it's a lot of layoffs recently. Goodnight Universe is from the same developer behind Before Your Eyes, which is right there. Not behind your eyes, before your eyes. I think you're playing a psychic baby or something like that, and you're trying to not let on that you're a psychic baby. I think that's the deal. I think that's the deal of the game. I don't quite get... I had the demo, but I never got around to actually playing it, so I'm not entirely sure what the gist of the game is. But I do think it has some element of hidden role aspects to it, in that you're, you know, trying not to... like, you're using your powers, but also trying not to give up the game kind of thing. Although why a baby would be concerned about giving up the game, I don't know, but... I guess there's some reason for it. Anyway, that's Goodnight Universe. Rue Valley. Rue Valley is a little bit Disco Elysium and then a little bit Groundhog Day at the same time. So you're kind of reliving the same day over and over, but some of your like knowledge will carry over. You'll know certain things about certain people. You'll be able to like skip conversations or use information that they don't know that you know, and this kind of thing, to kind of solve whatever keeps killing you every day. I think there's like an explosion that happens or something. It's a little bit of like Outer Wilds in that way, in that you only have a certain amount of time to figure out what the fuck is going on and try to stop it. But yeah, I think every day some of your stats reset, not all of your stats. Again, Again, there was a demo and I didn't get around to actually playing it, so not entirely sure what you lose on every reset, but you'll certainly like keep the any knowledge you would have gained in the same way Outer Wilds. That's kind of the way Outer Wilds works, kind of the way Blueprints works, that kind of stuff, is that, yeah, you don't necessarily get to keep any items or skill upgrades and stuff like that, but you know things now that you didn't know before. Anyway, Gigasword. Gigasword is another side-scrolling Metroidvania type thing, only this time your sword is real fucking heavy. Like, really heavy. Heavy as balls. And it's kind of the gist of the game. It's like puzzle solving with the fact that you have a sword that's like anime giant thing that nobody should really be able to lift. And it does different things when you plow it into the ground, and, there's like a little bit of Shovel Knight to it as well, I suppose. The demo was a bit of fun. From what I've read for reviews, it gets a bit boring after a while. Or not boring, but a bit samey, I guess. It's like the same kind of puzzles and the same kind of enemy types. Even though I'm seeing a lot of variation there, but maybe it's, I don't know, maybe there's not enough. Anyway, that's Gigasword. Ambrosia Sky is Power Wash Simulator in space. People are not people, like reviewers and some other people talking about the games in previews are calling it an immersive sim. Playing the demo, I don't really get the immersive sim aspect to it. Like, there's more to an immersive sim than having to press a button to open a door. Like, a lot more of an immersive sim is... Again, it's kind of hard to describe an immersive sim without just describing other games, but it's like lots of different ways of solving the same problem, systems interacting with each other without having to have bespoke interactions or animations and this kind of thing. Anyway, Ambrosia Sky is, the general gist of it is you're there to kind of clean up the after effects of like these kind of molds that are killing people and like decay on various space stations and that kind of thing. It's very much things have gone wrong here and you're here to clean it up. But it's got a lot more of a philosophical, spiritual aspect to it, and like death is a natural part of life, and yeah, we just need to clean it up kind of thing. But it's not in a case of, it's not a horror game, basically, is where I'm going with it. And yeah, the demo was fun, but I don't get the immersive sim comparisons. It's possible the demo just didn't show those elements, but I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from. Where Winds Meet is a Wuxia-inspired action RPG kind of thing. So it's got like a couple of different components to it. It's got like a kind of Soulsy, pretty tough like bosses element to it, and then almost like a Muso combat thing when you're fighting plebs. Like plebs go down really easily, but the bosses are a bit tough. And then it has like a kind of more role-playing social aspect to it, walking around town, talking to people, picking up quests, that kind of thing. One thing I have seen about the game and has put me off wanting to play it in the first place is that it is using chatbots for some NPCs. And from the looks of it, it's entirely optional and you don't have to engage with it, but the fact that it's in the game at all is kind of making me think I don't want to touch it. I don't know if it's a generative LLM chatbot or if it's like an old school chatbot that just has branching like text paths or whatever. I'm inclined to think it's the latter, just from some of the interactions I've seen from other people online. I guess one thing in its favor is that it is free to play, so you're not exactly, you're not funding the generative LLM AI slap thing, but I also don't really want to like give it any credence at all. So I don't know. I need to look into it more to know exactly how egregious it, not even how egregious it is, because if it's there at all, I don't want to touch it. That's just my look at it. Also, it being a free-to-play game, I don't know what its monetization options are. Is it just a case of just microtransactions? You pay for costumes and skins and that kind of thing, or is there a gacha mechanic to it, or something like that? I don't know. Like, it looks good. Like, it looks like a game I want to play, but the fact that one, it's free to play, and I don't know what its monetization option is, and not knowing how much of the chatbot is generative LLM, how much of it is in the game, and so on. So yeah, you might want to look into it yourselves if like me, you're not really for the generative LLM thing in video games. Anyway, unfortunately though, it's now time to talk about the worst part of video games, the video game industry. So we're going back to the GTA 6 union bust, not GTA 6, the Rockstar union busting stuff. And we did say that the union was preparing to make a legal claim because Rockstar were not prepared to negotiate with them, and have now made good on it. There is now a legal claim from IWGB, the Independent Workers' Union of Great Britain, who are representing the 30 plus Rockstar developers who were summarily dismissed for gross misconduct. And from their side from the IWGB's side of things, it was because they were trying to form a union, and Rockstar didn't like that. So after it dismissed a group of staff in what the group claims was an act of union busting, Rockstar dismissed them, claiming it was for gross misconduct. The IWGB's statement calls this a brazen act of illegal union busting, a calculated attack on workers organizing for a collective voice and to improve their difficult working conditions. Now, in the legal claim against Rockstar, it's saying that it's an unfairly dismissing staff for union activity and blacklisting its members. Remember, if you're fired for gross misconduct, good luck getting another job in that industry. Like, that's really difficult. They've been blackballed, pretty much. Like, that's very bad. There's more, like, that goes beyond even just union busting. Anyway, we are representing employees who were dismissed by Rockstar Games in circumstances that we believe amount to victimization and collective dismissal linked to trade union activity. Despite our representation and attempts to meet with Rockstar to resolve the matter through negotiation, Rockstar have declined and persisted to terminate members of the union in a manner that is unacceptable and unlawful. Accordingly, we have now issued formal legal claims against Rockstar on behalf of the claimants. Our members allege that Rockstar's conduct constitutes trade union victimization and blacklisting. Alex Marshall, then president of IWGB, employers like Rockstar would do well to understand that private spaces such as trade union Discord servers have protections and that their company's contractual clauses do not supersede UK law. This case stands as a warning to any employer in the games industry and beyond who thinks they are able to act with impunity against organized workers. We will not be intimidated. I mean, okay, so on the one hand, yes, good. It's good that they're bringing like legal action against them. There was a interview with People Make Games over on their YouTube channel. You should check it out. Where they were originally meant to be meeting with these Rockstar developers who work for Rockstar, not Rockstar developers. Anyway, to talk about the new union. Like, that was going to be the thing, and they were going to effectively announce Rockstar's first union effectively with People Make Games. And then like a day or two before they were meant to have the interview with People Make Games, they got this firing. And the video and the interview changed to now, hey, union busting is happening with Rockstar. And there's a really good video. It's quite short. For a People Make Games video, it's quite short. It's about 20 minutes. And they're talking to them there. And it is brought up, and I forget who the interview with. I don't think it's with Alex Marshall. I think it's with somebody else. But it's brought up, and I've heard this from a couple of other people now, that Rockstar are probably banking on getting a fine for this, paying the fine, and then settling with the employees to avoid a union. Like, they have now effectively successfully stopped a union forming with Rockstar. They know that GTA 6 is basically going to print money. So they're probably taking the bet that the fine plus whatever the settlement ends up being will be, vastly better than having to actually have a union. that might cost them even more money from an executive standpoint. Sorry, there's something on my screen. Oh no, that's part of the image. Never mind. There's a fucking thing here that I thought was on my screen and it's not. Anyway, And they know that whatever they'll have to pay, they'll make up for like GTA 6 sales easily. It'll barely be a blip, probably. And they'll effectively have prevented a union from forming, successfully squashed any attempt to reform another one, because now employees who work there know that this is what will happen to you. Whatever settlement they end up going with, if that doesn't also include expunging the gross misconduct allegation, then that's going to have to be either a lot of money or I really don't know how it's happening. If they're just going to drag out a court case forever and know that GTA 6 money will effectively mean they'll never have to really see any repercussions for this. Anyway, in the interview I was talking about, they were bringing up all of these kind of things. They're basically saying that, yes, Rockstar can more than likely just pay their way out of this. And the only real way that it can affect anything or have some kind of effective change is if employees who are still in there also, speak out about it and don't get scared. Don't get the kind of cooling effect of not forming a union and so on. And also having players have their back. Now, good luck. Vast majority of people who are going to buy GTA and are annoyed the GTA 6 was delayed and so on, don't even know this is happening. Aren't even aware of it. Never mind what their opinion of it would be, they just don't even know. It's not on their radar, they have no intention of it ever being on their radar, and so on. Of the people who are aware of it, how many of them do you think will go to bat for them? Now, I somewhat have the convenience of that I don't really care about GTA 6 in the first place. And didn't really like Red Dead Redemption 2 either. So, I have no problem not buying GTA 6, but can't exactly say that for the rest of the video gaming public. But speaking about developers who are already in there and having them speak up for their fellow colleagues, Rockstar staff demand the company reverse alleged union busting and reinstate fired workers. So 220 letters signed by Rockstar staff were delivered to management last week, demanding that the 31 employees fired earlier in the month be reinstated. This is coming from IWGB, or the ones who made a kind of press release about this. Obviously, Rockstar didn't say, hey, we got 220 letters telling us to go fuck ourselves. Anyway, it's heartwarming to see so many of our colleagues supporting us and holding management to account. During a period where Rockstar want us to feel scared, my brave former colleagues are marching straight up to our boss's door and demanding our voices are heard and not backing down. It's clear to everyone close to the situation that this is a blatant, unapologetic act of vicious union busting. Rockstar employs so many talented game developers, all of whom are crucial to making the games we put out. So, they are standing up. It's 220 letters signed by staff. It doesn't say it's one open letter by anonymous. It's 220 letters with their names on it. That's a lot. And this is from the UK staff. So again, there are labor protections in the UK that aren't enjoyed by the same in the US. It's a lot more difficult to get rid of that many people. And I don't see them firing 220 people and also still making GTA 6. At a certain point, you've now fired too many people. So we can either see this as this will light a fire under the people who are still there to get a union sorted, or potentially give the people who are already fired the confidence to, or the courage to not settle and to insist on having their job back. There's only so much the UK Labour government will do, and the Labour government, despite the name, not really pro-Labour. Wouldn't necessarily expect them to be in the employees' corner, but we'll see how this shakes out. But yeah, last week we did wonder and assume that there would be a legal case brought. There has been, and that they do have the backing of people who are still in the company. So there's some potential for hope here. But also, Rockstar have a lot of money and could probably just pay their way out of this. We'll see. Anyway, so speaking of paying your way out, I don't know. Speaking of getting rid of your employees, I don't know. Nexon CEO says it's important to assume every game company is using AI following Arc Raiders debate. So this has come up before with not Nexon, but with the Arc Raiders developer Embark, because their previous game, The Finals, which is still ongoing, it's a similar kind of live service type game. I think it's also an extraction shooter, but with like more of like a game show cyberpunk thing going with it. Anyway, they use generated text to speech commentators for the match that you're playing in, and they'll like talk over it, and it'll be like a robot voice in some ways. And they got a lot of shit for doing it, but people still play the finals. And they basically have carried over that process for Arc Raiders. So it also has a text-to-speech thing that is trained on some of the voice actors. But the voice actors never recorded these lines, if you get me. So it's a case where they have gotten permission to use those voice actors' voices to train an LLM, and the LLM now effectively generates lines for them. Your own opinions about that, whether or not you like it, whether or not you don't. I don't. I think it's gross. I think it's a deterrent, not a deterrent, a mark of dirt. I'm trying to think of a better way to put it, but like it makes the game worse to me. It's a mark of like grossness. I can't think of a proper term to think about it now that the camera is looking at me. But anyway, his viewpoint, Nexon CEO Jungun Lee's viewpoint, was that AI has definitely improved. Sorry, am I reading the same thing? Yeah, AI has definitely improved efficiency in both game production and live service operations. And then when asked about the impact of generative AI has during development, I think it's important to assume that every game company is now using AI. Now, we'll get to that statement in a minute, but improved efficiency in game production and live service operations does not mean it has made the game better. Like, it can be very efficient to just churn out a prompt of code and slop that onto the servers and say, that's the game. That's pretty efficient. You've made a game that normally takes 4 years to develop, and you've made it in a day. It's shit. And doesn't even run, won't even compile. But, like, it would be efficient. Anyway, we'll get to that second line in a second. Embark Studios CCO Stefan Strandberg instead had to say that AI as tools to assist in some content creation, but always in the context of creativity. And I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. So you're not using it in the context of efficiency, despite that's what the CEO is saying. He's saying it's used in the context of creativity. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. That means no creativity, right? Because you're just having a machine do it for you. We don't know to the extent they're using it because video game developers are very secretive. Or more specifically, the executive owners are very secretive. Anyway, so it's text-to-speech for some of its voice acting. It's also being used in the finals, as pointed out here. Text-to-speech allows us to increase the scope of the game in some areas where we think it's needed or where there's tedious repetition, in situations where the voice actors may not see it as valuable work, where the voice actors, whose main job is to give their voice to the game, think that it's not valuable to them to give their voice to the game. They don't think it's valuable to get paid. They don't think it's valuable to have a recurring job. Because if Arc Raiders is going on long term and they need new voice lines, you think voice actors don't think it would be good to have a recurring job. Okay. And this is also in some areas where you think it's needed, but it's not valuable work. It's a wide umbrella, but the experience of the game doesn't use any generative AI. Now, I don't know about you, but hearing my character's voice is part of the experience. Hearing other characters' voices is also part of the experience. I think the game would be very different if it didn't have voice acting. Go back to very old games where you didn't have voice acting. It's clearly an important part of video game experience, or it wouldn't be used. You know, if you're making a minimal viable product and you're trying to cut as many corners as possible and having to pay things, if this wasn't part of the video game experience, it wouldn't be in there. It's clearly an important part of it. His claim is that it isn't. And also, apparently, it's not valuable work. Anyway, the rest of this, I think, is just talking about how SAG-AFTRA views it, and I think Tim Sweeney jumped in for some fucking reason. Anyway, I think it's important to assume every game company is now using AI. Well, a lot of game developers took umbrage with that idea. As the CEO of Arc Raiders publisher Nexon says AI is everywhere, game devs call bullshit. So he claimed that generative artificial intelligence are in every game development. Plenty of game developers said otherwise. Like all game studios, Nexon is investing in AI tools and libraries to facilitate game development. However, without the need to bring voice actors back to record, you don't have to pay them. It's great. That's definitely not the reason. Oh, we don't think it's valuable work. Except we clearly do, because we don't want to bring you back to pay you. Okay, anyway, claims that AI is widespread in the industry is called bullshit, and its use is unnecessary. This is coming from Strange Scaffold's Xavier Nelson, who puts out like fucking 5 games a year, something crazy. We don't use generative AI at Strange Scaffold, and I confirm that a lot of other studios are not, whether indie or AAA. Get out of here with this normalization bullshit. AI is the thing already making our medium worse. Several more developers also came on. Kaizen Gameworks, Promise Mascot Agency, Paradise Killer. There's no Gen AI in our games. It's all pure human nonsense and love. Developer behind Unbeatable. Relinquishing creative choices to tools makes your work empty, vapid, and meaningless. The developer behind Demon School. Hello, not only do we not use AI, we would rather cut off our own arms than do so. Clearly, many are not on board. When reached out for comment, again, as Xavier Nelson had to say that it's basically a skill issue. One other thing, we're being told that AI is the only way to make games cheaper and faster, to pull us from the precipice of production nightmares the industry has found itself in, that it's necessary. We put out roughly 3 motherfucking games a year, not touching the stuff. Skill issue. And to be clear, the games he's put out, pretty good. It's pretty good. Anyway, there's a much longer, much kind of nicer, I guess, statement here, but it is effectively the same kind of deal. It's covering for processes that aren't working. It's covering for mismanagement. It's putting a band-aid, if you like, a plaster, over what is already a big problem. And if we're going to use generative AI to even further cover over these management problems, they'll just never get fixed. Basically, the idea is that the AI as a solution isn't a solution. It's treating the symptoms and not the root cause of the production problems in video game development, which is poor management and has been for a very, very, very long time. Anyway, there was some other AI news. I didn't want to bog down the whole of industry bullshit with just AI stuff, but we had some other things from Ubisoft, their new PAX game, Pax Romana, or their new Anno game rather. Pax Romana had a bunch of AI loading screens, and they claimed that it slipped through and wasn't caught by our people. Okay, I can believe that it wasn't caught. However, their replacement is just a touched up version of the AI image. So clearly they're happy enough to go with a broadly generative AI art for the game. Now, you might want to argue that it's just a loading screen and you're not meant to see that screen very often, yada, yada, yada. Go back and look at previous PAX games and go back and look at their art. It's like night and day. It's so much better. And having not real artists touch this, that's just gross. Not to mention like the environmental impacts of LLMs, but also why bother? Why am I looking at the screen? If you weren't arsed to fucking make the art, why do I have to look at it? Black Ops 7. I didn't even put it in my releases. I have so little interest in the game, but yeah, that came out this week. Also has generative AI. Activision have not backed down from it to say, oh, it slipped through. Yeah, we definitely weren't intending, but they're like, no, it's in there. We're using it. Fuck you. You'll still buy our game. The numbers suggest people did still buy their game, so it's like, whatever. I was never going to touch Black Ops, but something has to give with the generative AI stuff. There is more news coming out. I haven't had a time to review some of it, but yeah, there's been some pushback from other people. Black Ops 7 is getting review bombed mostly because of the generative AI. I think it even made its way to like US government. Somebody was talking about it in there. Again, I haven't had a chance to review that, but we'll talk about it next time. Anyway, moving on. We're still stuck with AI though. Krafton initiates voluntary resignation program after record high quarterly revenue. So that's good. We made lots and lots of money and we want to make even more money, so we're laying you all off so we don't have to pay your salary anymore. So voluntary resignation program. This announcement was made internally this week, 12th of November, so Wednesday. All employees, including junior staff, with 5 years of service or less. So that's a loss. That's basically everybody. And there is a sliding scale here. So they're basically saying, if you've been with the company 1 year or less, they'll give you 6 months salary, 12 months salary if you've been there 2 years or less. And then after that, it's diminishing returns. So I guess they want to keep their senior staff. 18 months salary for 5 years, 24 months salary for 8 years, 30 months salary for 11 years, and then 36 months salaries for more than 11 years, which is just bullshit. And honestly, like clearly the sliding scale is there in favor of people who've been there longer to basically say that, yeah, don't take this deal is actually super bad for you. So don't take it. But for people who've been there like less than a year and you get 6 months salary, I mean, there could be an argument there, especially if the company's going AI first. Maybe just get out of there. Just get out of there when you can. It's really the people who've been there for so long. It's like, that's so fucking shit. Anyway, the core purpose is to support members in proactively designing their growth direction and embarking on new channels. The fuck is that? Proactively designing their growth direction. Pardon? Those are English words, but I don't know what that fucking means. Anyway, embarking on new challenges both inside and outside the company. You're hardly supporting them on challenges inside the company, since you're trying to fucking get rid of them. Amid the era of AI transformation, citation needed. Anyway, Krafton's plans to become an AI-first company. By advancing its AI capabilities, the company aims to deliver differentiated user experiences and drive innovation across all services. Yes, we're going to drive innovation by using a machine that, by very definition, cannot make anything new. Okay. Well, good luck with that, I suppose. So then there's another thing that they are hiring. There's a hiring freeze also, despite them having record high quarterly revenue. So excluding organizations developing an original IP and anybody related to AI stuff, we've frozen hiring. So they're only going to hire people who are doing AI. Pretty much. Or if they're working on IP, whatever that means. Rather than reducing costs through AI first, individual productivity must increase at the company-wide level. Why must it increase? What's wrong with the current level? Also, company-wide, I find it unlikely the CFO is going to be included in that. We are stopping hiring for now, and productivity must increase at the company-wide level, but we are stopping hiring. These two things don't go together. Anyway, Krafton reported a record high quarterly operation profit of nearly 1 trillion Korean won, which is about $700 million. This is the first time since the company's founding the cumulative operation profit for the third quarter has exceeded 1 trillion won. So they're doing very, very well before they went for the AI first shit. Why are you fucking with it? You know, even looking at this from a purely, like, mercenary shareholder side of thing. It's like, we're doing fine. Why do we need the AI shit? No, we're doing more than fine. We're hitting record revenue. Like, how growth, fucking greed, fucking poisoned can you be? Anyway, speaking of poison, Tomb Raider developers Crystal Dynamics make even more layoffs this time. It's like the third time now this year. Announced another round of layoffs, third round of layoffs just this year. It's going to affect about 30 team members across all departments. To optimize the continued development of our flagship Tomb Raider game, as well as shaping the rest of the studio to make new games for the future. Yes, we're going to optimize it by losing people again. Makes sense. This year alone has already seen Crystal Dynamics lay off staff in 2 different waves. 17 let go in March, and then an unknown number were let go in August. We are committed to offering our fullest resources and support to you during this transition. You couldn't offer your fullest resources and support while I fucking worked there? No? Anyway, we know they've lost principal animator, and we know they've lost a producer. So one thing to look at for Crystal Dynamics, and Tomb Raider in particular. So Crystal Dynamics are currently owned by Embracer, so we already have the Embracer shit happening to them. But I'm pretty sure Amazon are partially publishing the new Tomb Raider, whatever it ends up being called. And Amazon's video game division, Amazon in general, saw a shit ton of layoffs 2 weeks ago. And a sizable chunk of that was their video game division. So it's entirely possible that there's been some cut in funding from Amazon, and that's meant that they've had to let go people, but they haven't come out and said that. So I can't say for certain. There's a speculation on my point. And it's probably unlikely that they will say anything because Amazon are a business partner. So they're not going to like throw them under the bus here. But yeah, we still have we're going to optimize by, removing people and piling more work on the people who are already there, because that will make them more efficient. Cool. Anyway, Ubisoft did something weird. Ubisoft have delayed their financial results for the last year and have halted trading of shares. So that's all we know. But that's pretty fucking weird. And very, very concerning if I worked for Ubisoft. They did not provide a reason for it. They did request a Euronext, which is Europe Stock Exchange, effectively, suspend share trading and bond trading from November 14th, which was Friday. In a brief statement, Ubi only revealed that they would inform the market when they wished trading to restart, and that they will publish their financial report in the coming days. How many days that is, I don't know. At time of recording, they still haven't. Anyway, the timing of why they would stop the financial results release suggests that maybe it has something to do with the numbers in that release. That maybe it's not doing so great. A reminder, Ubisoft shares have plummeted significantly year on year. But as I've pointed out numerous times, this is really more of a market correction for Ubisoft. Their shares had been massively inflated because of Viacom's hostile takeover attempt, and Ubisoft bringing in lots of other people to effectively jack up the price of the shares to the point that Viacom felt it was too expensive now to try to take over, and they stopped. But that resulted in Ubisoft having a grossly inflated share price. And arguably, it's just coming back to where it was supposed to be. The other thing to look at with Ubisoft is that they have recently siphoned off their best performing IP, Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, Far Cry, and put them in their own company. That is, I think, still majority owned by Ubisoft, but a substantial chunk of it is now owned by Tencent as well. And yeah, I have speculated that they're planning to spin it off to its own thing and basically leave whatever is left in the husk of Ubisoft to fend for itself. But yeah, we don't know. We don't know why they did this. We'll find out eventually, maybe. But it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. Anyway, last thing. And I felt that because the Game Awards nominations are coming out this week, that we should take a look at what else the Game Awards is doing, or more specifically, what it's no longer doing. The Game Awards future class inductees reckon their advocacy might be being punished as program is left by the wayside. So you might recall the future class thing of the Game Awards started in 2020, and they basically stopped doing it in 2023. So it wasn't there last year. And I don't actually think it was there in the 2003 version either. And from the looks of it, it's not going to be there this year either. But it was effectively like pointing out people who are doing great community advocacy, who are doing great like political outreach and stuff like that for the video games industry. And from the point of view of the people who were either nominated or won those awards, in previous years, they feel like they've basically been used as just like token things, like a prop to put up and say, hey, the Game Awards is also going to use this vicariously, but doesn't actually believe any of the messages that were put. And like, yeah, I know, shocked Pikachu, but it's good to have this in writing, basically. Anyway, the Game Awards had revealed that they've got no plans to do anything with their future class initiative this year, 2025. Those featured by the initiative in previous years have been left feeling frustrated and unable to access the very page itself, which confirms they were ever part of the program because they've taken it down. Anyway, recently they spoke to The Guardian. There's a link here in this article, but The Guardian is paywalled, so if you have a subscription, grant. Anyway, they documented some back and forth between themselves and the Game Awards organizers, including Keighley in some cases. And they talked about improvements the members wanted to see to the program, and also they wanted in 2023 that they wanted the Game Awards to acknowledge the genocide happening in Palestine, which they didn't. Anyway, we were effectively props is from Diana Laura, who was a member in 2020. And they're talking about things where there were some meetings that were being held, and they were meeting in a Starbucks, whereas like video game nominees were meeting in like hotels and stuff like that. The seats for the main show had them behind the camera risers, so they couldn't fucking see anything. The mentorship program amounted to like a Zoom call. All these kind of things where it was quite clear they were actually supporting these people was an afterthought. It was just, let's get them up for a photo op, pretty much. Yeah, so they're basically attributing this this effort to get Keighley to read out a statement about the genocide in Palestine, their open letter being ignored. Keighley didn't respond for comment, but they're basically attributing this to being why the whole program was basically shut down. One of them remarked that Keighley, when they were on a call, he sat looking incensed during a subsequent call in which some members recommended the award ceremony featured the likes of more female presenters and acknowledged that there were like a shit ton of layoffs 2023, 2022. No, 2023, 2024. And 2020, there were a lot of layoffs. Very much lip service. I can't remember the year that he did actually acknowledge it, but it was like, oh yeah, there were a lot of layoffs. Oh, now let's get to the trailers. Hey! Anyway, Future Class archive of inductees has been removed from the Game Awards site, and they're not planning to do it this year, so it's safe to say that that's probably dead. Anyway, ever since we pushed back, it was like, this is too much trouble, might as well peace out. As a result of advocating for ourselves, the very thing that we are inducted for, we were punished for doing the same thing that they ostensibly celebrated us for. And if that's not the Game Awards in a nutshell, I don't really know what else is. Anyway, moving on. What's happening in the community? Hopefully better things, because last week's wasn't great. Anyway, Concord has effectively been shut down again. They killed it a second time. So earlier in the week, some people managed to get a custom server running for Concord, and people were able to play it again. And there were like YouTube videos, social media videos of people playing it. And I guess somebody at Sony saw it and went, hey, no, stop that, please. Stop reanimating the corpse. So they swiftly issued DMCA notices to gameplay videos of a fan-inspired Concord reboot. The community effort to resurrect the game has been met with strong legal action, and they've basically just like, due to worrying legal action, we've decided to pause invites for the time being, that being invites to the custom server. Users cleverly managed to get custom Concord servers up and running, requiring special access to let you play. So you probably have to be on like a whitelist or something. Put your IP on a whitelist. Anyway, they've stopped doing that now and arguably have probably shut down the project entirely. As a result, the Concord PC project and servers are on hold, and unless something drastic changes, it probably means Sony is once again responsible for the death of Concord. Amazing. I think this time it was up even less time. Concord was dead in like a week, right? It was like 7 days or something, and then they pulled it. And I think they didn't even get to 7 days this time. Anyway, moving on. A company shutting down something that people actually wanted them to shut down this time, so that's good. Thanks to a massive community vote, Jagex are removing RuneScape's notorious treasure hunter microtransactions. So yeah, I know, RuneScape in 2025, I know. I'm shocked too, but anyway. Jagex are willingly removing some microtransactions from RuneScape. More than 120,000 people voted in favor of having them permanently removed from the game. And like, you've seen plenty of like petitions for like video game stuff and like stop putting this shit in the game, or, you know, bring back sequel to whatever, or like the Crew one that's going through fucking the EU now. Stop killing games and so on, and companies being extremely reluctant to downright like hostile to any of these changes, and Jagex being like, yeah, okay, like that's pretty nuts. Like it might entirely be that like this is literally the only game they have running. I don't know. I'm not following Jagex, but it could be like, hey, maybe we don't piss off the only people who are playing our game right now. Anyway. So they're getting rid of the treasure hunter mode entirely, not just the microtransactions that are part of it, but the whole thing is going away. Treasure hunter was a daily activity. So like you log in, you do a thing, you get some rewards from it. And you got a couple of times to do it for free. And then if you wanted to, you could pay actual money to do it again and get more rewards again. And those rewards are the kind of shit that are like, why am I playing the game in the first place? But anyway, can grant XP boosts, gold, and gameplay skipping items. You know you got a good game when you're selling gameplay skipping items. I never get that in like... I guess I get it for like MMO expansions, where like it comes with an item that will just level you to the level you're supposed to be at. Like if you don't like the character you're playing, or there's like a new character class put out and you want to play that class, but you don't want to grind them from the first level all the way back up because you've already done all that stuff with a different character. I get it then. I don't get it when it's an ongoing game. Like it's not like a new expansion or anything. Like, I mean, I guess you could make the same argument that you just want to be at max level for one particular character, but why are you playing the game? Isn't that the whole point of playing the game? It's to grow the character. Anyway. It was possible to buy extra keys with real money. How much money? I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I don't need to look into it now because they're getting rid of it. So January 19th is the day this update will be implemented. 225 XP and skilling related items will be disappeared from the game, but this also includes the mode itself. So that's also going away, which I guess makes sense that if they don't, like if they're getting rid of these items entirely, then the mode itself has no reward anymore. It's interesting that they're not retooling it to give out a different reward. Just give more gold or something. I don't know, maybe gold at that point is not even worth it anymore. Anyway, from the CEO, the plan is to tackle some of the game's biggest friction points heads on, and this, I guess, was one of them. But yeah, as the article points out here, it's certainly a breath of fresh air for like a game company actually getting rid of microtransaction stuff. And it not being the death of the game. Like, anytime I have heard of a game pulling its microtransaction store, it has almost always been because the game itself is shutting down. But RuneScape's still going in the year of our Lord 2025 is a bit nuts in the first place. So, you know, actually some good news for a change. Are we going to continue with the good news? Debatable. It's middling news, I guess. I don't know. World record holder subjects his body to 144 straight hours of Dance Dance Revolution. The man must be a fucking machine. Anyway, so I'm gonna pronounce this name wrong. Shabolks Chepi I definitely said that wrong. Anyway, longest video game marathon for playing Dance Dance Revolution for 144 hours straight, or 6 days, which is kind of nuts. I'm actually looking at the image. It's almost 145 hours. It's pretty impressive. All right, anyway, that's more than 3,000 songs and about 22,000 calories burned. The previous world record was 138 hours, and that was set by Kari Swidecki for playing Just Dance. It's another dancing game, which is pretty crazy. This is the longest video game marathon in general. Like, there are marathons, and we'll see here in a second, there are like Guinness records for longest driving game, longest puzzle game, longest whatever. This one is just for longest game in general. I am curious how they, like, did they pause it when he was picking the song, or like, how did he get any breaks at all? Like, I suppose I didn't look into it any further than that, because it's a community thing. I'm not really going to look into it any further. Anyway, ever since I learned about Swidecki's achievements in marathon gaming, I often caught myself thinking about how she pulled the all-time longest session off almost a decade ago, and he decided to give it a shot himself, and has broken it by 6 hours. Which is pretty good. However, he's not like, this isn't like a guy who just woke up one day and decided to do a video game marathon. He has done others. So he also has the world record for longest time spent playing a racing game with Gran Turismo 7, 90 hours. And with Tetris for 32 hours. I mean, I can play Tetris for... Okay, maybe not for 32 straight hours. Do you have to play... Is it the one game of Tetris for 32 hours? Do you have to just not die the whole time? Or does it also count if it's like... If you keep dying, you keep running out of lives or whatever? Similarly for Gran Turismo 7. Is it the one race? Is it one race of Gran Turismo 7 for 90 hours? There's a lot of loading screens in Gran Turismo 7. Do they count? Do they have to cut off time for loading screens? I don't know. I haven't looked into it at all, mostly because it's Guinness World Records and it's not exactly, it's very rigorous or anything. Anyway, we'll leave, I guess we'll leave Possessors. I don't know. Whatever. It was the first one on the list. Let's just leave that there. Anyway, that's your news for the 10th to the 16th of November, 2025. Some stuff there from the Steam machine, the Steam frame, the Steam controller. They all look really good. You know, they all look really interesting. And if it is a case of this being a contender for the console space, because we do see that like Xbox have effectively given up competing with Sony. And if any case, this almost seems like Valve doing what Xbox is planning to do, you know, become like a more broader ecosystem for the games instead. And like the Steam machine, the Steam Deck, the Steam frame, all different places where you can play your Steam library, and also the PC in general that it already has, you know. Like, it's almost eating Microsoft's lunch in this case. And Sony may be thinking they'd go into the PS6 with effectively no competition. I mean, maybe they do have some competition now. But I think what this is more, or potentially like a better way to look at it, is that it's competition for Windows, who basically have no competition for PC gaming, as is the case now. And a lot of people who want to play PC games find that they have to have a Windows machine. Like, there's no real way around it, and like Linux gaming isn't quite good enough just yet. But if Valve can like get behind it, and they have like a hardware now incentive to make Linux gaming work, and to make the Proton layer be this really good translation thing for games that wouldn't ordinarily run on Linux, and then they do. I think they're also partnering with AMD for some of the VR stuff to get like VR games that also wouldn't ordinarily run on Linux, but to get them to run on Linux. Like, that's pretty exciting. And if Valve's hardware ends up being like the floor, and like you could go up from there, you can like, third parties might bring out their own ones. We saw that. We did see that with the Steam Deck. You know, Valve brings out the Steam Deck. It's a handheld PC in a lot of ways. Its components are decent. They're not like top of the line, but they're, you know, they're good. And then stuff like Asus bring out their own thing, which are much, you know, higher specs. And some of them bring out stuff that doesn't quite work, sure. But that's kind of the whole point of having like a competitive market there. And Steam Valve arguably created it with with the Steam Deck. It's not like the handheld PC was really going anywhere until the Steam Deck kind of ignited that, and now there's like quite a few different devices that can do it. So if it does reignite the Steam box that they tried in 2015, but like Proton wasn't really a thing in 2015, and it is now, and it's like PC gaming on Linux is way more viable now than it was 10 years ago. So we'll see how that works out for them. And Steam Frames, similarly, again, getting Steam VR to more people, because as it is now, Steam VR does kind of require a pretty high-end headset. Like you can, I think, force the MetaQuest to play it, but I don't think it does it very well. And then the PSVR 2 is obviously locked to the PlayStation, and Sony are not supporting it really. They just, pushed it out and then forgot about it promptly. So having like a middle ground for VR that has the opportunity to go up from there, again, third parties might get involved. But also it means not having to have a Meta account to play on the MetaQuest, which is really the only reason I don't own a MetaQuest. Because there's plenty of games that I'm like, I should get a MetaQuest. It's cheap. And there's some interesting VR games for it. Like the Batman game. And like Beat Saber. And so, and I know you can play Beat Saber on other things, but it's like it's owned by Meta. Like they're getting better updates. But yeah, you have to have a Meta account. I'm not doing that. So if it's the kid, like I already have a Steam account, so I'm already in there. My Steam library is already in. I even have a bunch of VR games in my Steam library that I just straight up don't have a way to play. So this would be good for me in some ways, but I do think it's also like a good way to get people into it. And if it's going to work with the Steam machine, again, bringing your PC library into your more comfortable room, like there's great room there for just getting PC gaming off the PC, if that makes sense. Anyway, what else were we looking at? The state of play in Japan was really kind of nothing, honestly, there. Sony bringing out 2 games not on PlayStation. 2 new games not on PlayStation. Like, it's not the case that it's a PC port of a game that already exists. No, these are 2 brand new games. Not coming to PlayStation. Now, you could make the argument that these games have just been announced. Maybe they will make their way to PlayStation, and maybe, again, argument that, oh, it's a PlayStation IP. Like, of course it's going to be on PlayStation. They don't even feel the need to say it, but I also kind of feel like they would. Like, they would say it at this point. They wouldn't go out of their way to say it's a PC game and not PlayStation for Steel Frontiers and a mobile game. For Ratchet, like, what the fuck are they doing? Anyway, Rockstar with the legal action. Again, now that it's like a legal thing, it's probably going to be a while before it actually, if it makes it to court, if they decide to settle, if they decide to like try to just buy their way out of this, which I think honestly is probably what Rockstar wants to do. They're probably seeing that, oh, these guys were really close to getting a union. They were really close to getting the 10% that meant they were going to be legally recognized as a union, and Rockstar would be forced to negotiate with them. So they pushed in at the last second to just, we'll eat whatever the fine is. We'll pay the penalty because it'll be nothing compared to GTA 6 money, and make a settlement with the employees. We'll just throw as much money at them, whatever. We're still going to make way more from GTA 6 and not have to deal with the union. Much as I want to be hopeful that they'll be forced to take the employees back because they didn't have grounds for firing them and they don't want to settle. The interview they gave with People Make Games does make it seem like, or makes it sound like these people really want to just get back to work. They really just want to make GTA 6. That's it. Like, they have no other ulterior motives or anything. Like, creating the union was just to protect their job. Like, look at the video game industry. You can't exactly blame them. And from what they've been saying about how Rockstar is treating them, and we have kind of known this for a long time, but again, it is important to get this stuff in writing that, yeah, Rockstar executives, shitheads. I know, shock Pikachu face, but here we are. The AI argument, I think, is probably going to come to a head pretty soon for video game industry stuff. Some developers are like leaning into it. Some developers are feeling like they're forced to lean into it because higher ups are pushing it. Some are feeling that, oh, we'll be left behind because we keep hearing all these developers who are using it, so we should probably use it too. Again, it's a normalization thing. It's the exact same reason why you have microtransactions in games. It's because other companies are doing it and the executives are forcing it. And we're going to be left behind if we don't do it. No, we need the money, and it helps us, help developers, even though it doesn't, because all the money goes to the executives. It was the exact same argument for microtransactions. This will help us keep funding our developers while we're in the middle of making games. And, we're not making money at the time. That was the whole microtransaction argument. And where does all the money go? It doesn't fucking go to the developers, does it? Any kind of money-saving, cost-saving things also not going to make its way to developers. It's just going to make executives more money. People already ruining video games. Anyway, Ubisoft doing Ubisoft weird things. Guess we'll find out soon what that was all about, I hope. It's a bit of a weird decision. Very concerning decision, also, if you work for Ubisoft. And the Game Awards being a bit tokenism and a bit performative. I know. I was shocked too when I heard it. Anyway, that's it from me. There won't be a video next week because I'll be away. And potentially there won't be a video the week after that. I'm not sure. Depends what time I get in it. But the week after that there will be. So it might be like a triple might be a triple episode or something. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe the video game industry goes to sleep for a week while I'm away. Maybe. I doubt it. Anyway, have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys in 3 weeks. Bye.